Good morning to everyone joining in today live with us at the Savannah Community Headlines. It's another great Monday here in the Coastal Empire, and we are really excited to partner with Carriage Trade Public Relations to host another episode of All Things Nonprofit. My name is Nipuna Banpala, and I serve as the Executive Director of I Volunteer International. We are a tech nonprofit organization based in Savannah with the vision of creating 7 billion volunteers. Today, we are featuring organizations that represent communities and our people to amplify their voices, fight for their rights, and become their lifelong allies. So, today we have two amazing friends and guests with us who will talk about two amazing organizations in the Coastal Empire region. So, we have the Savannian, a new newspaper publication in Savannah, and Migrant Equity Southeast, a new nonprofit promoting immigrant rights. So, first of all, to our guests, thank you for the work you do in our community, and thank you so much for being here with us despite your very busy schedules. I'm going to invite you to introduce yourselves. So, please tell us who you are and what you do, and a little bit about your organization. And so, we'll start with Daniela, and then Rachel, you can follow.
Hey everyone, good morning. My name is Daniela Rodriguez. My pronouns are she, hers, ella, and I am the Executive Director of Migrant Equity Southeast. Like you mentioned, is a new nonprofit organization that has the goal of not only providing direct services but also advocating for the immigrant communities of South Georgia.
Awesome. And I am Rachel Flora. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am the co-founding editor of The Savannian, which is a digital alt weekly that seeks to capture the culture and the vibe of Savannah, Georgia.
Excellent. So, both of you, thank you so much for being here. I know, we all know each other even before getting on the call, right? Which is really exciting. So, let's sort of get right into the conversation, right? So, Rachel, you are actually nowhere new to journalism. So, tell us a little bit about the Savannian and your journey sort of in creating your own newspaper agency.
Sure. So we started The Savannian. My co-founding editors are Jim Marikis and Sean Kelly, and we all worked together at another alt weekly here in town. Around September of last year, we all left because it was going in a different direction that we were wanting to go. So we sort of decided, why not just do this on our own? Simple, totally easy thing to do. So we chose to form the Savannian. We really like the alt weekly style of journalism, which is, sort of seen as a supplement to hard reporting. We can sort of cover the things that other mainstream outlets don't always get to cover. We can seek to cover the culture in Savannah. So we decided that that's what we would do. And it's been a really interesting journey so far. We have between us 20 years of experience. Jim has been a newspaper editor for over 20 years. I had worked at the publication for 6 years. Sean had been there for 2 or 3. And so we brought the knowledge that we had to a new space. We sort of have it and we sort of don't have it, right? It's easy for us to get back into the mode of doing things, but there's a lot of stuff we didn't really realize went on behind the scenes. So the experience that we had with journalism helped us to sort of decide what we want to write about. But it's been a really amazing experience so far. We're going to celebrate 1 year in October. I want to say October 24th or somewhere in there is our birthday. And we just love what we're doing so much. This sounds cliche. It doesn't even really feel like work to me. It is work, but it feels like something that's really important and worthwhile. So that's all you can ask for, really, I think.
Yeah, that's exciting. So 1 year, wow. Time goes fast.
Yeah,
I remember hearing about the Savannian and the launch, right? And I feel like just a couple of months back, but it's been a whole year to October. That's exciting. So
I know.
I don't know. So funny question. The Savannian, right? Tell us a little bit about the name. Like, I know, you're focused in Savannah, but Savannian, I think it's a really cool name. Tell us a little bit about it.
Thank you. I'm going to give full credit to Sean for that because it was totally his idea. We thought about names for a really long time. We were like, what is the perfect name that we can use to really sort of capture what we're doing? I was looking at all weekly names, just going through a list. I remember pulling up Wikipedia, like, what are all weeklies, and looking at names and thinking what actually fits what we're doing. But the Savannian just really, when Sean said it, I think all of us were like, oh my God, that's perfect. Because we really want to capture what it means to be a Savannian. That's sort of the goal and the driving force behind what we do. I will say also a really meaningful compliment I received recently is from a girl I know who is a SCAD student. She's from Texas. She's lived here probably 2 years at the most. And she said, when I read the Savannian and when I talk to you, I feel like I am in the know and that I live here. And I was like, I want you to like record that because that's exactly what we wanted to be. We want people to feel like they are a Savannian because we have so much transience in and out of the city. We have students, we have workforce, we have people coming in and out all the time. So we really want to capture what it means to be a Savannian. So to hear one person say that was like, yes, okay, we did it.
And when you go to the Savannian website, one of the great articles you need to read is a conversation with the founder of Migrant Equity Southeast, right? So,
Yes,
a
one of my
perfect
favorites.
segue. So, Daniela, you're doing some great work. You have been doing some great work. Now you're transitioning those resources into a nonprofit organization to represent people in our community, right? Immigrants in our community. So, share with us your personal journey and how it transitioned into creating a nonprofit for immigrant rights, as you said, in South Georgia.
Yeah, right. So I guess like I should say like the reason why I decided to start a nonprofit, and the reason is why is because of course, like I'm an immigrant. My family are immigrants, and many times when we first moved to Brunswick, Georgia, after moving from Mexico to the U.S. We came to Brunswick, Georgia, which is 1 hour south of Savannah. Um, but we realized that there were not many resources there. When I'm talking about resources, I'm talking like legal resources, help with like navigating the immigration system, help filing out taxes with people who speak your own language, food resources and such. Um, and many times, like my mother and my family, we will have to travel to Atlanta, which is like it's far, and like it was just to fill out like a simple paperwork. Like nobody wants to drive like 4 hours to do such like simple paperwork. Or like even to attend English classes. We look for resources near Savannah, but unfortunately there was nothing. I think the closest one was in Jacksonville,
Mm-hmm.
which many times like not even part of Georgia. So many times we'll say like, I'm sorry, these resources are only for people from Jacksonville. Like you guys are from Georgia, so we can offer you these resources for free. Um, so yeah, so growing up, I would see my mom frustrated because she had to drive so many hours, and it was like frustrating. Of course, my mom was not the only one affected. I would see many immigrant families, and then when I moved to Savannah, actually, Migrant Equity Southeast used to be a grassroots organization that I started with my friends. Um, uh, in the beginning, our goal was to advocate for education rights, but then later we will see that education rights for the immigrant community. But later we will see that there was nothing else in Savannah, like no any resources that advocated for immigrant rights or that provided services, of course. Um, and like the need in the community was so great, uh, and that's when this year, after doing grassroots work for 8 years since 2013, um, some of my friends and I got together and we decided to make it happen. We're like, okay, let's just create a nonprofit. Of course, kind of like Rachel, we thought like we like all of us were community organizers, all of us were activists. We're like, let's do it. Um, but we didn't really think of like the whole like behind the scenes like operations and finances and all of that comes together. But we decided to make it happen, and so this year, a few weeks ago, we just had our launch party, which was really exciting. I'm happy that I feel like more than 100 people came to celebrate with us the beginning of a new nonprofit that has the goal of advocating and providing direct services to the immigrant community. So yeah, as an immigrant, I'm very happy to bring an organization that can help hopefully thousands of families whenever they need help, just like my family needed help 8 years ago.
Yeah, I applaud your work, Daniela. I know to a certain extent how challenging it can be and how challenging approaching resources can be, especially in the immigration system. And kind of creating that network, right, as you very correctly said, in South Georgia, right, so that people don't have to always travel to Atlanta. Those resources are available for them to speak to somebody, right, in their own language and to connect so that they can connect to the community here as well. So just to kind of ask you from the work you've been doing, right, for the past couple of years, almost like about 8 years, right, almost close to a decade, what are some of the shifts you have seen, right, in advocacy and resource orientation in the community? Have they sort of improved? What are some of the trends that you have sort of seen personally in the community?
I would say like the necessities are always the same, like always, always the same, but they have increasingly gotten worse during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, like during the pandemic, there has been a great need for additional resources, food. There's been a lot of food insecurity, of course, work insecurity, people who, like, again, there are many programs that help with rent assistance, but a lot of these programs are only for US citizens. And the community that I work with, of course, like the immigrants, they're unable to provide specific documentations in order to have help with to pay their rent or to pay their bills. So I would say like this year during the pandemic, or the couple of years, like last year and this year during the pandemic, has been a little bit harder for the immigrant community.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and I knew you kind of, speak about your story, right, with the Savannian, and Rachel and her team, you all have covered so many of the other stories, all the way from arts and culture, as you have very correctly said, right? And we've had conversations about I Volunteer sometime
Mhm.
back as well. So Rachel, what are some of the aspirations, right, and goals for the newspaper? You started it now. Now it's a nonprofit organization. I mean, at least you're hoping to get the certification. So, what are your goals and aspirations?
Sure. I will say, like Daniela said, filing for nonprofit status is not easy. There's so much to think about. And we are formally registered and under the state of Georgia. We're just waiting on IRS certification. Hopefully that happens sooner rather than later. But we filed for nonprofit status because we really want to be more accessible to everyone. Accessible journalism is something that I'm really passionate about personally. We all are. It's so important for us to be able to tell important things that are going on in the community. Some of the things we report on are, I'm thinking of a story I wrote about affordable housing back in, oh my God, I think like December, something like that, which is relevant again. And so we want to be able to share what we find through that reporting with everybody, but because right now we're a subscription based model, I mean, thank you to all of our subscribers, but sometimes people are a little hesitant to want to subscribe just because it's $5 a month, but that's not always feasible for someone to have pulled out of their account. The subscriber model for now is just so we can pay ourselves, but we are really interested in making this model free to access someday. So we want to do that through everything a nonprofit has to offer for us. But I see us really, I want us to be prevalent in the city. I want people to know that they can come to the Savannah to read interesting reporting, important reporting, to really learn about the culture. And it's tough because digital are it's a digital alt weekly, right? So typically alt weeklies are free and in print form, and you can go to the city and anywhere in the city and pick it up. I mean, that's what I usually do when I go somewhere new. I look for the alt weekly to pick up, and for us, there's no physical thing to pick up. We all really enjoy the digital model because print is really, really tricky. It's a very big endeavor that costs a lot of money, takes a lot of time. And as sad as this makes me to say, it's sort of a dying medium because people kind of people read digitally more often now. So so a lot of people will ask us, do you plan to go with print someday? And I'm always like, oh, do you have, $10,000 you want to give us? Do you have a printing press you want to let us use? But that's pretty much what it would take. So maybe someday we can get there. But to me, the goal is always just to be as accessible and available as possible. I can say I personally have some pretty big undertakings of stories that I'm working on, and I want to be able to continue to do that. We have so many voices that we want to share. Something that is a big goal of ours is to include as many perspectives as possible. I don't want it to ever be just the three of us doing it. I want it to be as many people sharing their stories as we can. So that's a plug. If anybody wants to write anything for us, let me know. But we are open to hearing from everybody. And I hope that through, building this foundation and building this trust, that people will know to come to us to learn what's going on. So that simple goal, super, super attainable goal for us. It might take a while to be exactly where we want to be, but I think we're on a really good track so far, I think.
Yeah, and I am. I can't help but think that staying digital, right, allows, as you very correctly said, allows you to reach a lot more people, right? And also in my brain, I'm thinking sustainability. You
Exactly.
reach a lot of people, but when you tend to print, not only it's a huge overhead cost, but there's also, as you said, people are much more. Um, kind of much more open to reading the newspaper online on the tablets on the laptop and getting it still being able to read the articles that they want and not stack up newspapers in their house
And
and
I will
also
I'll tell you,
sustainability.
working at the print publication, there are stacks and stacks like this high. And as somebody who cares about sustainability, I'm like, oh my God, can we do something with those? It's nice to hold, but it can be a little wasteful.
Yeah, so there are advantages, but I want you to kind of expand right on the last point that you made about people you wanting to get different perspectives and inviting people to write, right? So I know Savannah has a lot of diverse topics to cover: arts, culture, history, technology, innovation, variety of it. So how can people connect to the Savannian to promote their story or to send in their story? Do they write to you? Do they write their own story and submit it? So what are the various ways that the community can engage with the Savannian?
We have an email that is, we think it's the Savannah912@gmail.com, and people can email that to pitch to us. We like to we sort of like to hear a pitch before we ask someone to take on work, because that would be unfair to do a bunch of work and then one of us also be writing about that, or sort of we want to see if it's the right thing, the right fit first. But anybody who has an idea, who wants to write something, who wants us to see something get covered, that is definitely something that we want to hear from. I want to hear what people think is important, because we're all, I think, we're pretty tuned into what's going on, but we can't be everywhere. So I want to hear from people what they think is important, and just to allow other people to share their voices on issues. I would love to see more people writing opinions for us if that was something anyone was interested in doing. But yeah, they can reach out to us that way and we can talk about their options.
So we covered Savannian's future goals. Daniela, I'm really excited and want to know Migrant Equity Southeast, because I'm excited for you to grow and to be a cornerstone, right, in South Georgia for immigrant rights and resources. So what are some of your future aspirations and goals for Migrant Equity Southeast?
Oh my God, where do I start? There's so many. Okay, so I guess I'll start because so for sure, as mentioned before, we do want to bring more direct services such as legal resources, English classes, services for victims of domestic abuse, um, mental health resources, more equitable health resources, um, and maybe even like an after school program for kids who don't, many times they don't have help for with their homeworks. But one of the things that I can tell you is that during the during the pandemic, we and one of the reasons why we became a nonprofit was because in the beginning, so we thought that we were only going to help people in Chatham County because, of course, our reach was only for Chatham County. Like my friends and I, like people from my team, were like, okay, let's help people in Chatham County. We know they need help. Maybe people from Brunswick, maybe people from Statesboro might reach out to us by chance. But it turns out that when we did the count, it was 13, no, it was people from 13 different counties who reached out to us. And we're
Wow.
like, whoa, like that's so much. And when we looked at all those different counties, it was many counties that have something in common, that they were below Atlanta, and there was no help in their counties many times. Because one of the things that we do whenever we're not able to help these people, like we try to connect to resources that are near them. But when we try to help those people, we could see that there were no resources near them. So we're like, if they have no one else who can help them, so it had to be us. Um, Unfortunately, there are many nonprofits that help the immigrant community, but they're all in Atlanta. So over here, like we have to do so much, from providing direct services to advocating for the immigrant community with anti-immigrant bills. Uh, so yeah, our goal in I guess our dreams are not only to help people in Chatham County, but be able to help all those people from those 13 different counties. Of course, we know that it's not going to be easy. Again, there uh, unfortunately, there's so many people that just don't want to help, like from like people who are not immigrants. They're like, why are you? Why should I give you my money to help people who are like the illegals or whatnot? We do receive a lot of hate, unfortunately, but we do know that that's just how it's gonna be, and no matter like the hate, we're gonna continue working because we know that immigrant communities contribute so much to the economy, and they're human beings who deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. So we're here to advocate for those people, not only in Chatham County, but all the other counties that don't have someone to advocate for them. And we know that it's going to be a lot, but we are definitely sure and excited to continue doing the good work.
And I'm glad that you touched base on some of the services that you're hoping to provide, because I can only imagine that there's a significant amount of people connecting to our session today who may be interested in helping. So tell us a little bit about when you said English classes and when you said after school programs. Tell us how volunteers in the community can connect to Migrant Equity Southeast and maybe help.
Yeah, for sure. They can go to our Facebook page or go to our website. And our website, they're going to find our social media and access to our email or Instagram or Facebook. And they can always send us a private message and just say, hey, my name is, like, introduce yourself and say that you want to volunteer with us. Uh, so far, we're getting a lot of people who want to volunteer, and we're really excited for that. Right now, one of the things that we're working on is COVID vaccine drives.
Mhm.
We're making sure that we have like people who speak Spanish, and we go to different neighborhood stores where we know there is a lot of immigrant community, and we go and make events so hopefully they can get the COVID vaccine. Uh, we have been doing this vaccination drive since April. So yeah, since April, like almost every Saturday, we have a vaccine event.
Wow.
Yeah, we're almost close to hitting the 500 vaccines mark. Uh, so we're really excited for that number because I mean, it seems like not like a big deal, but for us, like telling people to get the vaccine, trying to go against the disinformation that is out there, explain to people in their own language why they need to have the vaccine. Um, so yeah, like that's one of the things that we really need help with right now, with having these events, the vaccine drives every Saturday, and of course, like people don't always have to speak Spanish. We also have an office, and we have a clothing drive. We have a clothes drive, like a clothes closet. So people can. It's like a community closet, so people can come in and help us organize that. Uh, and yeah, like we're always looking for help, and people don't necessarily have to speak Spanish in order to help. We take everyone.
Absolutely. And I definitely checked out your website, so I know that even if volunteers aren't able to connect directly, there is definitely a volunteer form on the website. And as always, if you're searching for volunteer opportunities, you can always contact us at iVolunteer International, and we'll be happy to connect to Daniela or any other organization in Georgia that you want to volunteer with. So thank you so much to Rachel and Daniela for being here with us today and sharing with us your expertise and perspective and the work you do with the organizations. It's very valuable, and we are thankful to you for the work you do in our community. We invite our viewers to subscribe to the Savannah newspaper for sure, and for your dose of local inspiration and coverage, and to visit Migrant Equity Southeast on Facebook and their website to support their work and volunteer with them as well. So, with that, we want to wish you a great Monday and a fantastic week ahead. Thank you all for being here.